friends, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Abby and I like to talk about spooky things. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you 29 glitch in the matrix TikToks. If you guys like this video, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up, click the subscribe button down below, and turn on post notifications so you never miss a video. I post every Sunday and most Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4 p.m. Central Time. And without further ado, let's get right on into the video. Our first TikTok is from the user BrookieX, who discovers something she's been missing for a very long time.
Weirdest thing just happened to me. I did this puzzle back at home in Jersey before I moved to the city. I wanted to frame it as decor because look how beautiful she is. It took me days to finish, mostly because a large portion is like one color. And once I finished, I realized there was one piece missing. Like, of course, I searched high and low for this piece. I looked in every crack, crevice, crease in my room to find this missing piece, but she was nowhere to be found. So I realized it might be like a manufacturing issue. But I framed it anyway because I decided to use it as a metaphor. Life is never complete. There's always room for growth and perfection is never the goal. But the other night I left my apartment for a bit, and then when I came back I tossed my keys on my bed, and when I picked them up, the missing piece was under my keys. I was like, what? I was perplexed. Like, I thought this was a glitch in the matrix, parallel universe, timeline jumping, whatever. I was like, I did this puzzle in a completely different state. How does it appear beneath my keys in New York after all that moving, everything? I just don't understand it. I'm so happy and excited that I can finally finish this, but like, what the heck? I need to know if anyone else has experienced any glitch in the matrix things. So let me know your stories because I'm genuinely curious about this topic.
Honestly, I feel like all of the logical explanations for this are a huge stretch. I mean, if she thoroughly checked the area where she was making the puzzle for the missing piece and didn't find it, packed up all of her stuff, so she touched pretty much everything she owned, and then unpacked it all without coming across it, it is so crazy for her to find it like in an open area. I just find it so hard to believe that she did not come across it during all that time. But after she's done all of that, it's just sitting on her bed, right under where she set her keys. If that were me, like putting myself in that situation, I would be flabbergasted. I would be literally contemplating everything, because what are the odds that all of that lined up and it perfectly somehow appeared? Because also I'm sure she's seen that spot multiple times and no puzzle piece has been there. So where did it come from? You're telling me it just like fell out of a pocket that she never checked or something like that? I really don't think that's the case. I just think it's too much of a coincidence, and there's too many things that have to go perfect for this to be possible. So I really do think maybe it's some kind of glitch. I personally believe that there are infinite timelines and possibilities, and at any moment we can make up our minds about something and switch over to a new timeline. And I mean, I'm sure people think that that's crazy, but I genuinely have that belief. And I mean, quantum physics kind of proves that, but that there are infinite timelines. So it's completely possible that she somehow jumped timelines, or there was a glitch or something, and the piece showed up finally. Maybe she lost it from her reality back when she was putting the puzzle back together, and somehow it got back to her current reality, or she jumped to a new one where she found it. I think it also could be a metaphor, like how she originally had the metaphor for the missing piece. Maybe the piece showed up because she was ready for it, and it was a metaphor of things are complete after her big move and everything, that things are coming together. At least that's how I like to look at it. So let me know what you guys think. I really think that it's not a coincidence. Our next two TikToks are with user Callie Rittenhouse00. She shows us a almost force field like area in the middle of a field.
Yeah.
I'm really confused by the people saying that it's an electric fence, because obviously she's way past the fence and the other one's so far ahead. So I think the fence has literally nothing to do with this at all. Obviously, it could just be a child seeing something and stopping and analyzing it, and I think that's probably the most likely scenario. But you never know, maybe there was some kind of like disturbance in the force or like some force field thing and she just stopped because she felt like she had to. Probably not the most likely thing. It's probably just a child being weird. But the way she reacted is really interesting. Now, our next TikTok is from the user Victorian Voigt, who is experiencing the duplication glitch.
I think I came across a glitch in the matrix. I was putting my clothes away and I came across this shirt, and nothing weird about that. But then I came across this shirt, the same exact shirt in a different part of the closet. And this is not a shirt that I buy multiples of. This is like kind of a special occasion shirt. And this one has the tag that I had cut out. And this one has the tag where I had cut it out. And I don't know, I'm kind of weirded out right now. I don't know like why these two shirts, these are not just tank tops, these are not basics. And I don't have a lot of clothes. I mean, okay, I kind of do, but I don't have a lot of clothes to wear. I forget what I buy. Like, this is a glitch in the matrix.
First of all, I'm alarmed at the fact that she thinks that that's a lot of clothes, because I have probably double that amount, which explains why I just wear t-shirts all the time, because I'm overwhelmed by choosing an outfit every day. So this may be a normal amount of clothes, but when you have that few of clothes, I feel like you remember everything you have. I mean, I tend to remember everything I have pretty much. So I think you'd know if you bought two of the same thing. I genuinely think that this is a thing, because there are so many instances where, how does this happen? How is it so perfect? How is it completely matching? Where did it come from? I really genuinely think this is a thing, and I think it is happening to her. Fortunately, it's a really cute shirt. It'd be a bummer if it was like an ugly shirt that's duplicating. But at the same time, why do you need two of the same shirt unless it's something that you wear every day? I think especially her point about the fact that it's a nicer shirt that she doesn't wear very often. Why would she have two of them? You think she'd be aware of having two of the same nicer shirt rather than just stumbling upon it and having no idea where it came from. So I do think that maybe in another reality she is missing that nice shirt, and it has popped up in this one. Our next TikTok is by the user Lorian Rhodes, who believes she time traveled.
I was on the phone with my boyfriend at 9:59, and I looked at the clock and I was like, let me go to bed. Let me let you go, because I want to go to bed at exactly 10, lights out. Within the minute, I want to have my eyes closed, everything off, because I like to go to bed at even times. And hung up on him, closed my eyes, and then I was like, well, let me set an alarm really quick so I don't sleep until some obscene hour. Turn my phone back on. I'm setting an alarm. I just happened to glance at the time because I'm like, oh, okay, I want to make sure it's not 10:01, because if it's 10:01, I'm going to have to wait till 10:30 to go to sleep, so I'm going to scroll on TikTok for 29 minutes. Check the time. I look at the time. It's 3:30 a.m. Like on the dot, 3:30 a.m. And I was like, okay, that's not right. So I check my iPad and I check my computer, and they both say 3:30 a.m. And so I go downstairs and I check the clock on the stove, 3:31 a.m. I'm like checking every clock in the house. It's 3:30. And I'm like, did I just die and come back to life like 5.5 hours later? Because that's what it feels like. I genuinely don't know what just happened. Like, I guess I was asleep, but it was like a stream of consciousness, though. Like, I had the same thought when I woke up that I had when I was going to bed. Like, I need to check and set my alarm before it turns 10:01, or I'm gonna have to stay up until 10:30. Like, that was the thought process I had. And I literally blinked. Like, I literally blinked. Next day. 5.5 5.5 hours later. I checked, like, all the messages I had sent right before I went to bed, and, like, sure enough, they were, like, delivered 5.5 hours, 5 hours before. And I'm like, oh my god, what just happened? What just happened? Like, it literally, I just ceased to exist in between 10 and 3:30, apparently, because I have no recollection. Like, it, bam. The only thing I can equate this to is whenever I got my wisdom teeth taken out, and I went under anesthesia, and I was counting down, and then all of a sudden, I was waking up, and they were telling me that I was done, and I started crying because I was scared. It didn't feel right. I felt like I was being messed with. And then I had a nap a couple years ago that I remember was like this. Like, I literally blinked, and then it was like dark outside, and I had gone to bed when it was light, and I remember thinking that was super weird. But this is much weirder because I wasn't that tired when I went to bed, and that time that I took that nap, I was dog tired. I was so tired. But so it was explainable. This is not explainable because I wasn't that tired, and I woke up with the exact same thought. Like, can anyone explain to me what kind of sleep that is? Because I've been trying to research it, but I can't put it into words to form a Google search. So if anyone knows, like, if there's a medical professional that knows what that kind of sleep is called, please let me know, because I'm fascinated and freaked out at the same time. Okay.
I think that there is a large possibility that she did somehow fall asleep, but I think it's incredibly weird that she fell asleep that fast in the process of, like, just closing her eyes and thinking about setting an alarm, because that's freakishly fast to fall asleep. And the fact that she woke up at an even number, like exactly how she says that she likes to normally fall asleep. It's also really weird to me that she woke up in the same train of thought. I don't think I have ever fallen asleep and woken up with the same train of thought. I certainly have fallen asleep where it feels kind of like a blink and I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe that's been however many hours, but also I'm aware of the fact that I fell asleep even though it felt like 5 seconds versus 3 hours. So it is really weird to me. I think it's probably unlikely that she time traveled, because why her? What are the circumstances? What did this do for, like, humanity, you know? I mean, maybe it could just be weird little glitches that happen to random people and there's no purpose behind it. I guess that's why it would be a glitch. But I don't know, like, it is possible, for sure. I believe it's possible. But also, I think it could just be somehow she fell asleep. Okay, now that I'm saying that, like, I don't believe myself. I honestly can't explain this. I feel like it feels far-fetched to say that it was a glitch and she time traveled, but also I don't believe that she just blinked and, like, fell asleep and didn't realize she fell asleep. Like, I think that's a crazy thing to experience. So I guess in that case I'd lean towards glitch or just something completely unexplainable. I really don't think that she fell asleep. That's probably, like, the likely explanation, but I don't think that that's what happened. I don't know, I just think a lot of these stories are so weird that it's like, what are the odds of it being something normal? I think it's harder to explain away glitches than it is, like, paranormal encounters. I think there's a lot more logical explanations to debunk ghosts than there are situations like this. So I'm kind of at a loss. Our next TikToks for these are Happy Healthy Riley, who also experiences a duplication glitch.
Okay, I don't know if this is a glitch or what, but I remember we've had this toy for a long time, and there's always been 2 of everything. 2 purples, 2 of these. Oh. And I remember because when I'd clean up, I'd be like, okay, there's 2, there's 2, there's 2. And I noticed this time it looked more full. There's 3 of these. And anyone else with this toy, can you please confirm with me that there's only 2 colors per, or 2 shapes or whatever? Because this is tripping me out. And I don't think anyone's been over that has, like, this toy. I am just... Whoa! Good job, buddy.
This is also something that is hard to explain because that piece is obviously unique to that toy. It is the exact same as the other 2. It very clearly belongs to this toy. And the fact that she's been conscious of how many there are every time she cleans it up and all of a sudden there's more, the fact that she notices that it seems more full than usual, it makes me wonder if she's in another reality wondering where the second Greenpeace went. The only semi-reasonable explanation I can come up with is somehow another kid was carrying it outside and dropped it, just so happened to be on their lawn. The dad saw it, was like, oh, my kid has this, and brought it inside and put it in the toy without saying anything. That to me is the only likely explanation, but you'd think he would mention something like that, like, oh, found this outside. Or you'd think that he would clean it off before bringing it inside and she would notice it. So that for sure could be a possibility. Let me know which one you are leaning towards. Our next TikTok's with user House Catch Chronicles. She tells us she believes we can access parallel lives in our dreams.
So I had the most outrageous dream last night.
Okay, look, I know it sounds crazy. But I am convinced that we are able to access our parallel lives or parallel timelines or whatever it is via our dreams. I know that that's not all dreams are, but I think that it happens pretty fucking regularly. I don't have another explanation for it. I've been saying this for years to anybody who will listen, and I know people think I'm crazy, right? I remember about 15, 17, 18 years ago was when it really started, that idea really started to germinate for me, because there was about like a 2 or 3 year period where I was having dreams that were basically other versions or alternate versions of my real life. You know, like in my real life, I'm going to work, hanging out with my friends, cleaning my apartment, going grocery shopping, and I would go to bed, and almost every night I would have a dream of me doing, like, living this same regular everyday life, but everything was just slightly different. And it would be like I would have these conversations with people in my dream, right? And then I would wake up and I'd go about my day, and I would have like flashes of these conversations that I had in my dream life with people, and it got to the point where I couldn't remember, like, did I have this conversation in real life, or did I have this conversation in dream life, right? And then over the years, they've gotten more and more intense, and sometimes they wane. I might not have them for a while, but then I will go through like 2 or 3 month periods where I'm just like going to bed and waking up, or going to sleep and having these dreams where I'm fully living a different life, like having a child, having a family, going on like adventurous trips, like things I would never do in real life, right? And around 2020, the dreams started to really get intense, and they would kind of like bleed over. Like, when you have those phases, and I'm sure there's a term for it, but you're kind of like half asleep, half awake, where I would be kind of like half awake, but I could like feel myself being like cuddled by someone, like somebody was in bed with me, like with their arms around me, and I could hear like music playing. One time, I still remember this was in 2020, I woke up, or was half awake, and I could feel like a whole body pressed against mine with their arms around me, and it didn't feel threatening at all. It felt like the way you would sleep with someone that you're in a romantic relationship with. And I could also hear the television playing the news, and it was Brian Williams on the news. And I woke up when I finally like came to. I was so unsettled, and I laid there for a while, and I had to pick up my phone and Google when was the last time Brian Williams was a television anchor, right? And this was like in the morning, and he wouldn't have been the morning news anchor, but I could hear it so clearly, and I could feel, and it was just like I was waking up. I was like I was straddling this line between waking up in my current life and waking up in my whatever this other life is. I've had dreams over the years where I had a son, And it pops up every so often, every like 5 or 6 years. I'll have this dream where I am with my son and he always looks the same. And I wake up, and as soon as I realize that he is not there and he doesn't exist, I am devastated. I am absolutely devastated. I can picture this little boy in my mind's eye right now, and even thinking about it, like just for a brief second, like almost brings me to tears, because all I can think of is there is a version of me out there somewhere that has a son, that has a child, right? I read the lamp story on Reddit. I've read other stories on Reddit that are similar to that. If you haven't heard of the lamp story, you should look it up. And I know that that's slightly different. That's related to like a traumatic brain injury, like or being unconscious or whatever. But I think there has to be a link. There has to be something similar. I've also had dreams where I think I have stepped into like future parallel timelines, or like or timelines of myself in the future. I also have dreams where I get messages for other people. That's been happening a lot more, I'd say, over the last 2 or 3 years. Like people I work with who I'm not really friends with, or people that are like acquaintances. And I have these dreams that are so like crystal clear, and it's clearly a message. And I feel like I have to go tell them this. It's just, there's something else going on. And I, every so often, like I'll start trying to read like, okay, so is this a thing? Like, is there any research on this? Like, am I just living in a fantasy world? And, you know, all of the things I've read lead me back to like, dreams are just your subconscious dumping. And yeah, we all have those dreams. Like I have dreams where it's definitely just thoughts of things that are happening throughout my regular day. Like, yeah, but I feel like there's something else going on too.
I'm 100% on board with this. I've said it multiple times before in other videos. I definitely think this is the case, but I think some people are more in tune to it than others. I have so many dreams. I'll think like I need to tell my mom something, and then I'll go to sleep and I'll have a dream that I'm telling her, but it's so realistic that the next day when I'm going to talk to her on the phone, I can't remember if I did tell her or if it was a dream, because it's that hyper realistic that sometimes I think I've told someone something, but I really just dreamed it because I had the thought that I needed to tell them. I experience that all the time. Or even things like getting an email or like checking Instagram and a certain post pops up, and then when I'm awake, I'm like, oh wait, that email's not here, that post isn't there. That must have been a dream. That happens to me constantly. I also think it depends too on how open you are to having an experience like that. I think there's a lot of things that go into it, but I for sure believe that that is possible. And it seems like she is on the more extreme end of things. The fact that she can almost be in two realities at the same time, where she can feel someone holding her, but no one's actually holding her, or she hears something on the TV that cannot be true in real life. I definitely think she is experiencing some kind of parallel reality shift when she is going to bed. And I wonder what she could find or experience if she channels it and intentionally does this rather than it accidentally happening. Our next two TikToks are by the user The Green Manor. Now, I'll be honest, part of me thinks I might have put this in a previous video because it's really familiar, but I don't know if it's really familiar because I saved it a long time ago, so I've seen it a long time ago and that's why, or if it's because I've talked about this before. It's going in anyway because I think it is fascinating.
Okay, so I'm low-key freaking out right now. I feel like I'm experiencing one of those glitch in the Matrix moments. You ever see people talk about those on here? I'm upstairs in our Airbnb. We have guests coming today, so I've been cleaning it and whatnot. I have most of the rooms done. About an hour ago, I did the bathroom. I cleaned it top to bottom. I swept, as you can see, the broom. I mopped and everything. So I just went to walk in here to double check to make sure the floors look good. And this is laying on the bathroom floor, okay? Hold on. And this is from a necklace that my husband got me for Christmas a few years ago. I wear it a lot, but I have not been wearing it for the last couple weeks because I've been wearing my gold necklaces. And like I said, I just cleaned this whole bathroom top to bottom and did the floors not even an hour ago. And I have not worn this necklace in weeks. So now I have to go downstairs and look at all my jewelry and see if I have the chain for it in its usual spot. So if we come into my bedroom, I always keep my most worn necklaces right here. Okay, literally, I know it. This is the chain. Yes, this is the chain that it usually sits on. And that was just upstairs on my fucking bathroom floor in the Airbnb. I cannot stress enough that I have not worn this necklace in at least a couple weeks. Because like I said, I have been wearing my gold necklaces religiously. I haven't even taken them off to sleep or shower. I am never going to be able to explain this, and it's going to drive me absolutely insane. I'm very happy I did find it though, because I would have been upset if I lost this. I really love this necklace. My husband has good taste. What the fuck though? Bye. Okay, so I do want to circle back to this video and the comments that I keep on getting because it's honestly still freaking me out and bothering me so much that I can't figure this out. The comment that you see here is a comment that I have been getting a lot, which makes total sense because you would think that it got caught on my clothes or the broom and mop that I was using or something like that. But let me explain. Right now we are on the second level of my home, which is our Airbnb. The Airbnb has its own private entrance just as our home down below does. I mention that because a lot of people have asked if maybe an Airbnb guest somehow got into our home and went through my stuff, but that's not possible. There is no way for them to access the level that our home is on, not to mention I have no life and I'm home 90% of the time when we have guests here. As far as it getting caught on the mop or the broom, I really want to make it clear that all of the cleaning products, broom, mop, everything, I have separate cleaning products on each floor. So the bottom floor has its own broom and mop, and the Airbnb top floor has its own broom and mop. I do not mix and match. It just makes my life way easier when I'm cleaning the Airbnb to have everything up here and keep it up here. So there is no way that it was like caught on a mop or a broom and then carried up here. I also want to address it being caught on my clothes maybe because that was like my first instinct, or maybe caught in my slipper. Caught in my slipper is the absolute only thing that I can think of. Maybe it fell off my dresser, I stepped on it, and then it got caught on the bottom. The pants that I was wearing that day, I swear I can't make this up. The pants I was wearing that day are pants that I have not worn in over a year because I hate them and they're too high-waisted for me. So they've been sitting in my drawer for over a year. And mind you, I wore that necklace like a month or two ago. Also, the shirt that I was wearing that day was brand new. I had just bought it the night before from TJ Maxx. So you have to understand why this is driving me crazy. But I don't know. All I know is that I mopped the floors. I went back in here to double check them and grab all my stuff. And this damn charm was just sitting dead center of this tile, face up like that. It's just so weird. I mean, you know what? I'm sure maybe there's a logical explanation. I'm not denying that. But I cannot stop thinking about it.
I do think the shoe thing could be a possibility. But what I think is weird is how it could have gotten off the chain to begin with. If she hasn't been touching that necklace because she hasn't been wearing it, she hasn't been most likely going over there and touching that section because she said that she's been sleeping in her necklaces. So what purpose would she have going over there and messing with her other necklaces? Also, personally, I find it pretty hard to lose those things off of necklaces because you kind of have to like intentionally hold it up or it be a thing where you're actually messing with it and then it falls off. It's not like you can just bump it and then all of a sudden it's in your shoe and then you bring it up to your Airbnb. It's also specifically bizarre that she just cleaned that bathroom top to bottom, including the floors, and all of a sudden that's there. I think for me, that is what makes it so hard to explain, is that she was just there. She just cleaned that floor and nothing was on it. She was aware that nothing was on it because she obviously cleaned it to make sure that was the case. And then all of a sudden, this gem from a necklace that she hasn't worn in weeks mysteriously appears on the floor. That's what's so weird to me. I genuinely think if this happened to me, I would probably sit on that floor and ponder my life for a while trying to figure out exactly how this happened. To me, this one is really, really crazy. Our next TikTok user, Boofy Badass, who gets stuck in a magical stairwell.
Bro, this is a never ending. This is one of those things where I come this way but end up over here. I'm not even kidding, because look, there's a gate there and it doesn't open. Oh hell no. Oh my god. Oh my god. I hope we can get back out. What if it's locked? Jackie, that's where we ended. Oh god. How far do we have to go down? Oh my god. Wait, so where do we end up at? Because what the fuck is that? I thought I just jumped over there. I'm scared. That's what I was wondering. Oh my god.
Obviously, there's a way to explain this because someone made it in the first place. I just don't understand it. It's the exact same to me as those parking garages. I'm sure you've seen the videos where someone's car is over there, but no matter if they go up or down, they still can't get to it. I don't understand those. My mind can't wrap around it or explain how one gets to the other level. I really think if I was in that situation, I would be panicking, thinking I might not be getting out of there. That's obviously pretty dramatic, but the idea of being trapped somewhere like that scares me so much. And again, I can't wrap my head around the stairs and how they're not connected and going up. It makes no sense to me. It really feels like a glitch in the Matrix. Our next TikTok is by the user Linnell, who has a very unexplainable duplication glitch.
You guys want to see a glitch in the Matrix? Maybe I have someone else's yearbook, right? I moved to Los Angeles from Pennsylvania in 2015, and I don't really see anybody from my high school anymore. Another thing, check this out. Yearbook 1, Janelle. Yearbook 2, Linnell. I am Linnell. This one has no autographs because we had a weird insert page. This one, autographs all over, Linnell. This truly makes no sense to me. This makes no sense to me. What?
Initially, I thought it was kind of odd that it was two similar names, but I thought maybe someone just quick glanced at it and was like, oh, it's Linnell, and didn't realize that it said Janelle, and then gave it to her, and somehow she didn't realize that she had two books. However, the page in the book where people are writing to Linnell, that's what makes me really confused. If there was no autograph signature paper, you could say it's a glitch in the Matrix. In another timeline, her name is just Janelle and not Linnell, and then the yearbook popped into her reality. But that's not even an option when the book is signed to Linnell in the back autograph pages. As I'm saying this, the only other thing that I could come up with as a logical explanation was maybe someone misread the Janelle, assumed it was Linnell, gave it to her, she got all of her autographs in there, and then someone found the Linnell yearbook and was like, oh my gosh, she forgot to grab this, and then again she just somehow didn't realize that she had two. But then didn't Janelle notice that she was missing a yearbook? It's weird because she said that the autograph page was separate, and in this book it's not. So I don't really know. I feel like it could be explained away, but it's just such a weird mix-up, and the fact that the book says Janelle but the autographs are to Linnell, it's really throwing me off here. So I have no idea how to explain this one. Our next TikTok is by the user McKinley Men, who glitches on camera.
I am a new woman lately. I have been loving lip products. This lip oil is so good. Little car pack. And a drink.
And I have
Grilly things. What, buddy?
Okay, I don't think this is actually a glitch at all. I do that frequently because I have ADHD. Honestly, you would be shocked to see how many times I do that during each one of these videos. Like, before I start editing the clips, I go through and I just delete giant chunks of empty space where I'm staring off into space. It's ridiculous the amount of time I spend staring off into space. And I think I probably wouldn't realize it so much if I wasn't like recording myself multiple times a week. So I don't think that it's a glitch. Even if she doesn't have ADHD, could be mom brain stress, like she could have seen something and just stared off into space. It's a perfectly human thing, so I don't think it was a glitch. I think that's a perfectly normal thing. And if it's not, then there's something wrong with me, because again, I do it constantly. Our next TikTok is with user Darby Party, who has a sandwich malfunction.
I just cut this bread, like cut it like that, and then cut it like that. But now, like they can't match. So, what the fuck? I just literally cut this bread horizontal and then diagonal, top, bottom. But now I can't get them to match back up. What the fuck? Oh.
Maybe my brain is just not working today, but I don't understand how that happened or how to put it back together. I will admit I'm not the best at like visualizing shapes and how to like switch them into things, which is also why the stair thing confused me so much. But as I'm trying to imagine these bread slices and turn them to fit them into place, it's just not working. Yeah. I can't do it. I can't like make it fit together. It's just not working. I don't know how this happened, so this could be obviously a fake video where she cut the two pieces separately and then set it up to take a glitch in the Matrix video. Or maybe she mistakenly cut the two pieces separately, didn't realize what she was doing, and then she can't put them back together. So maybe it wasn't intentional. Or maybe it is a glitch in the Matrix. But I'm like fairly certain that this can't be rearranged to work. But it's like a geometry problem and I can't figure it out. So I don't really know how to solve this one. Our next three TikToks are by the user Loran's World 1. In the first TikTok I'm going to show you, she tells us about a glitch in the Matrix involving her grandma.
If you've never experienced a glitch in the Matrix, this is probably not the video for you, so just continue scrolling because you're going to think that I'm crazy. If you have experienced it, I want to know if anyone has experienced anything similar to this, especially from a young age. So I've had multiple glitches throughout my life, especially now that I've gotten older, I can understand what's happening. But I want to talk about the very first one. The very first one that I can remember that I was like, am I crazy or are all of you crazy? So this is around 4th or 5th grade, elementary school. My grandma would pick me up from school 2 to 3 times a week. We were very close. My grandma lived like rock throwing distance from my house. So I would literally travel up the creek through the woods to my grandmother's house that I would go. I would spend all my time with my grandma. So after school, she would pick me up and we would go to Wendy's. That was our thing. We loved Wendy's. My grandma has very prominent blue eyes, like crystal clear. It's a very prominent feature about my grandma that she has very blue, piercing crystal blue eyes. So this one day, she picks me up, we go to Wendy's, we're sitting in the glass area. If you know Wendy's back then you know what I'm talking about. We're sitting there eating our fries and I look up at my grandma and my grandma has brown eyes. They're brown. And so naturally I was like, Grandma, your eyes are brown. And she was like, yeah, Lauren, I have brown eyes. I was like, Grandma, no, you don't. You have very blue eyes. What do you mean you have blue eyes? And she was like, no, Lauren, I have brown eyes. So whatever, we eat. She takes me home and this is the whole thing. I talked to my mom too and I'm like, Mom, Grandma has brown eyes. And my mom was like, yeah, Grandma has brown eyes. No, she doesn't. She has blue eyes. What do you mean she has brown eyes? Like everyone knows that Grandma has blue eyes and everybody was making me believe that I was crazy. The next time that I see my grandma, 3 days later, my grandma has blue eyes again. So of course I'm like, Grandma, your eyes are blue. Why are your eyes blue? And she's like, yeah, Lauren, I have blue eyes. What do you mean? What do you mean? What do I mean? We just had this conversation 3 days ago when you had brown eyes and I told you that you had blue eyes and you're telling me that you have brown eyes, but I know that you have blue eyes. And now that you have blue eyes again, you're telling me that you know you have blue eyes? I'm not crazy. This was not a dream. I did not dream this. This happened. This was reality. I mean, it was like Monday on Thursday. Now you have blue eyes again? Like, I did not make this up. This is still with me to this day. I think about this to this day. My grandma had brown eyes that day that I went to Wendy's with her after school. I didn't make that shit up. Like, that was reality. I didn't miss a day. Like, this happened. Has anybody else ever experienced anything like that? With people's eyes changing colors? And they fully believe that their eyes were a different color. I'll never forget that.
I guess you could say this could be explained away by maybe her grandma put in contacts one day and it was like an inside joke as a prank to confuse her. But like, why? Like, why would you do that to a kid? Like, what's the purpose of that? And you'd think by now, at her age, they'd be like, haha, joke's on you. Unless they're really sticking to the bit and just never gonna tell her. I feel like if it was a prank, they would have confessed by now. But I for sure would have thought I was going crazy. You'd think something like that, your grandmother's eyes, especially the fact that they're piercing blue and it's her main feature, and all of a sudden that changes, and then she's gaslighting you as to that's never been the case. That would make me feel absolutely insane. I would rethink everything I've ever known. But then I'd just be mad when it switched back to blue and then everyone's acting like I'm the crazy one for thinking they were brown when I was just told they were brown and crazy for thinking they were blue a few days ago. I would be furious at that point. Like, what the heck is going on? Maybe she switched over to some timeline and then switched back. That is a really crazy thing to experience. And you can tell just the way she tells the story how passionate about it she is, that it really shook her up and stuck with her after all these years. So I don't doubt that she's telling the truth that she experienced this. The next TikTok from her, she experiences a glitch where her keys go missing.
I have so many stories. I want to talk about my most recent glitch in the Matrix because this video was from the very first one. I want to talk about the most recent one. So this happened in this house. I've been in this house 6 months now. This happened probably 4 months ago. So one day I woke up, I left for the gym. It's important to note too, my keys. So my car does not start with a key. It's a push to start, so you don't need it to physically put in the ignition, turn it on. But my gym tag is attached to my keys, okay? I get to the gym, I check in with my keys, I leave the gym, I also go to the grocery store, get back in my car. I have to have my keys to turn on the car, right? So I get back in the car, turn on my car, and then I go to Lowe's to get some potting soil, get back in the car, turn on the car, to then come home. When I get home, I was just gonna run in and grab the dogs to take them on a walk. So I need the keys to get into my house because I locked my house. So I get home. This was 3 different stops. I made 3 different stops. I had to ignite my car with my keys 3 separate times before I got home. I get home and I'm still sitting in the car and I can't find my keys anywhere to go unlock my house. Like, I'm looking everywhere. I'm looking through my gym bag. I'm looking in the back of the car. I cannot find my keys anywhere. They're gone. 20 minutes have passed. I'm looking for the keys. So then I'm just like, let me just go see if I left the door unlocked so I can just grab the dogs. My car is still running. Let me just go grab the dogs and we can go on a walk. I'll find them later. If that even makes sense. So I walk up to my house and my keys are dangling from the lock of my house. Make it make sense. I had to physically use my keys to turn on my car 3 separate times before I got home to come get the dogs, but they were dangling in the lock of my house. I have another one too. I have a crazy one too, a different crazy one.
I also really don't know how to explain that one. Because yeah, you need your keys to drive your car, even with a push to start. I'm sure most people these days have a push to start and know that. Also using your keys to tap in at the gym. Maybe if they recognize her, they let her go, like she tapped her keys and nothing happened. Oh, well, no, she didn't have her keys. I don't know. Maybe she just didn't tap the gym and didn't realize. But also, I don't have a gym membership, so I don't know how, like, hard that is to not realize, how hard or easy it is to not realize that you didn't do that on the way in. It's the driving the car thing that really stands out to me, because even if let's say like someone has my keys and they're standing right outside the driver's side door and I try to push to start, it will not work. Even in that proximity, it will not turn on. The keys need to be in the car to turn on. And if I drive away without my keys, by the time I'm down the driveway, it's telling me that the keys have left the vehicle. So there's no way that she would have, 1, been able to start the car all those times, and 2, not noticed the alert that the keys aren't with her. Also, at some point, I mean, I've never experienced this because I always have the keys, obviously. But I've been told that at a certain point, when you continue driving without the fob in the car will just stop, because it assumes the car is being stolen. So I don't know how to explain this at all. I don't know. But I will say it is very scary to realize that your keys are just in your door. That would freak me out, on top of all of the other craziness of the situation. The final TikTok I'm going to share from her, she tells us about some reappearing utensils.
So this glitch in the matrix story, or timeline jump, whatever you want to call it, this one happened 2 years ago in Columbia, South Carolina, in an Airbnb. So me and my boyfriend got an Airbnb in Columbia. We were staying there for a couple days, and we ordered DoorDash, and they had like an outdoor patio area, so we decided to eat outside. When we opened up the food, we realized that we didn't have any silverware, so I went inside to get silverware. I went to the kitchen and I looked everywhere, through all of the drawers, through all of the cabinets. I looked everywhere twice for silverware. And this one specific drawer, I had a computer charger plugged into the wall, which dangled over one of the drawers. Whenever I closed the drawer, it got stuck, so I opened it up again, and I remember this drawer because it looked weird. On one side of the drawer, there was a spatula and one of the clampy things, and on the other side of the drawer was oven mitts. The middle of the drawer was empty. Weird, but didn't think much of it. Went back outside and I told him that there's no silverware here. What? Seriously? I know, right? Ate with our hands. So I go back inside to clean everything up, and my boyfriend opens a drawer and I hear from the other room, silverware is right here. Stunned. I'm stunned. So I walk in there, and what you know, it's the exact drawer that had the cord dangling down, and it had the silverware box. You know, like you can lift the box up and it's the thing, the silverware, directly in the middle of the drawer. I thought I was crazy. I thought I was losing my mind. Like, no, you don't understand. I checked all these drawers, and I checked that one twice because I had to open it again. And there was no silverware in that box. I told that story later to a group of friends, and they told me that it's a common Airbnb thing for them to, if you've ever seen the movie The Boy, where the boy like lives in the walls, he told me that it's a common thing for Airbnb hosts to have that same thing, or have like a hideaway tunnel and they come out and like do shit. I thought that was a little extreme, but I mean, honestly, I would prefer it to be a glitch in the matrix, a timeline jump or something, rather than the Boy movie scenario. Regardless, it doesn't make any sense. It didn't make any sense, and I can't explain it to this day, but that happened.
Now, I'm sure we've all had that experience where we're looking for something and we're staring right at it, but we don't see it, or your phone's in your hand and you're searching for it. Your glasses are on your head, but you're searching for it. The remote's right in front of you, but you can't find it. I'm sure we've all done that. We're all human. But I do think it's a stretch to say that you're looking through drawers and wouldn't see a giant tray of silverware. I think that's pretty hard to miss compared to a remote that could be blending in amongst a bunch of other things on the coffee table or something like that. I'd say a giant tray of silverware inside of a drawer that presumably isn't too much bigger than the tray of silverware is really hard to miss, especially when you add in the fact that she says that she had to open that drawer twice because the charger got stuck. Unless somehow she was distracted by the charger and didn't see it, that's the only thing I could really think of. That and the Airbnb host hiding in the walls, which hopefully is not the case, but you never know. Our next TikTok user, Jen Jax N, who tells us about someone who died, but they didn't.
Okay, I got cut from work, but I have to talk to you because I'm experiencing a glitch in the Matrix. You know, I read about these things and I watch that Auntie Matrix and stuff like that, and I'm like always fascinated by it, but it's never happened to me, and this is super weird, and I just need to tell you about it. When I was in college, you know, I was in the music program because of musical theater, and the chair of the music department, well, I mean, she was awful to me. I actually have a story, a video that is still posted on my account that like is about how she didn't cast any people of color in a show where like part of the cast is supposed to be people of color, and then she just put them all in blackface. But it wasn't just that. Like, she would constantly yell at me and constantly demean me, and she made me feel like in theater being black is a setback. That stayed with me for decades. It was really hard to not believe that for a very long time. Actually, there are a lot of people that I know and I'm still friends with that, you know, she was pretty awful to be honest. But anyway, 2 years ago, she passed away. She passed away from, I think, cancer, and her daughter posted something on Facebook about it. It was amazing because all of her old students just came out of the woodwork to like talk about how devastated they were and how horrible this is, and this is just a tragedy. I have a very close friend who also was in the music program with me, and I remember that she sent me like a Marco Polo. If you have the app, you know. She sent me a Marco Polo being like, I feel bad because I feel like that line in a chorus line, and then she sang it. She was like, because I felt nothing. Oh, the song about Mr. Carp, whatever. If you don't know chorus line, just, it doesn't matter. And I was like, girl, same, you know, we both felt the same way. But the crazy thing was, if we went on Facebook, all of the people that were devastated about this horrible loss were like people that had also talked shit about her, you know. They even vague booked about it because I was like so annoyed. I also a couple weeks ago made a video about how I have like this intense memory for like certain things, right? I have a very intense memory of the day that I found out that this woman died. I remember what I was wearing. I remember exactly where I was sitting when I learned it. I remember where I was sitting when I got that Marco Polo from my friend. Cut to today, okay? This happened maybe like 35 minutes ago, okay? I get a text from my friend being like, I can't believe we haven't talked about this. The chair of the music department passed away. That's just what I'm gonna call her because I'm not gonna say her name. I was like, no. You're crazy. This has already happened. The next text she says is, I feel bad because I feel like that line from a chorus line. No. Okay, this has already happened and you've said exactly that. Then I go onto Facebook because I'm thinking this must be like a memory from 2 years ago or something, and it's just like resurfacing as like a memory on my friend's page, right? No, it wasn't. This was posted like a few hours ago. Even worse, remember when I said the thing about people like, you know, who had just talked shit about her and had a bad experience with her and who are now saying that they're devastated? Well, the main person in that was the person's post that I saw talking about how devastated they were that this woman passed. Everything is happening exactly as it happened that day, only instead of me being in bed when I'm reading this information, I was at work. I'm genuinely freaking out right now. How is this possible? How is this possible? Of course I went scrolling through my Facebook to try to find that vague post that I made. It's not there. It's not there. Like, what the hell is going on? I actually have a wild theory about it, and it has to do with quantum immortality, and I think that that's insane. That's insane, right? Oh my God, please don't judge me for this because I know how I sound. But like a couple of years ago, I got into this car accident on my drive home from work. I was hit by a drunk driver who was driving in the wrong lane and didn't brake, hit me going 40 miles an hour. Just destroyed my car, okay? I was wearing a seatbelt, and I remember that after, you know, the car accident happened and after like all the fogginess, you know, that happens after you get hit, everything seemed off. Everything seemed weird. I couldn't hear for a while, but I did not have a scratch on me. Like, I had lots of bruises from the seatbelt, but I didn't have a scratch on me. The police get to my car and they're like, I don't know how you survived this. The ambulance gets there to take me to the hospital to get checked out, and they're saying that they don't know how I survived this, much less no scratch, right? And everything kind of felt off since then. And, you know, I kind of like researched it and looked on Reddit, and that's where I found out about quantum immortality. Like, maybe I'm in a different timeline. I think that's crazy. I just want to be clear. I mean, I suppose it's possible, but I mean, but maybe I'm in a different timeline where she hadn't passed yet. I am losing my mind. This is crazy. This is crazy. I'm genuinely cracking up right now. I mean, honestly, just tell me in the comments if you think this is insane or if you have any theories. Like, seriously, this is insane. Okay, bye.
I'm thinking maybe, and this isn't even too much of like debunking at all, because it still has to do with something like supernatural or spiritual in nature, not just a regular everyday thing that you can claim has nothing to do with any of that. But maybe she had a dream about this all happening, which would mean she obviously predicted it, tapped into the future of some kind. Although technically we're all, like, time is all happening at the same time, so maybe she tapped into it happening in another timeline. It could be one of those hyper-realistic dreams where you can't really tell that it was a dream versus real life. Because this is literally the Nelson Mandela situation. Except obviously his was the death, like the two deaths were under different circumstances, but this is like literally the Nelson Mandela situation that created the Mandela effect. I don't know how you explain that to someone without sounding absolutely insane. Like, no, this person's been dead. We've already discussed how we're not sad about this person dying. Like, it sounds insane when you're like, this person's been dead, and you're like, no. I think it's also crazy how many things were completely on point with how she remembers it. It's crazy enough if it was one thing, like, she's dead, and you're like, oh, it was crazy, I could have sworn you already told me that. But everything said exactly as it was, the posts lining up, the feelings about you don't feel sad, and then all these other people who hated her, him, her, I can't remember what she had said, hated this person, are all pretending to be mourning. The fact that every detail was spot on from what she remembered, supposedly, is crazy. Our next TikTok's by the user Mrs. Motivated 2025. This is her story of the disappearing bee.
There's a scientist that just came out saying that he knows that we're living in a simulation. So I'm gonna tell you a story that I've never told anybody. And when I read this, I was like, it makes so much sense. I never told anybody this story because I was scared people were gonna look at me like I'm fucking crazy. And I'm already fucking crazy. So I was like, they're just gonna, you know, at the time I was like 28, I was like 18, 19. Okay, I was 18, 19. So I was like, for sure, I was like, my mom's gonna put me in the nut hut. So I didn't tell anybody. So now's the time because, you know, I was sitting in my vehicle. This is my first vehicle, okay? It's a Chrysler Alero, I don't know. It was so cute. I'm sitting in my car and it's before I had to go into work, okay? Windows are rolled up. And I worked at a restaurant at the time. We won't say which one, but I'm waiting in the parking lot. And I noticed that I can hear a buzzing in my car. Like it's a bug buzzing. And I'm like, God, that sounds like a bee. Like, you know, you can hear it like, and I'm like, so I turn everything down. And I'm like, there's definitely a bee in here. So next thing you know, I see a bee and it flies and it goes on my dash. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to kill this because I'm allergic to bees. I can't do bees. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to kill this. I'm going to kill this bee. I get this piece of paper that I had on my passenger seat. Not sure what kind of paper. I rolled it up. He's sitting on my dash. I hit him. Okay, I see with my two eyes. And at that time, I'm young, 20/20 vision, okay? I see. I swat him. I hit him. He is dead, okay? I bring up my paper and I look and there's nothing there. Nothing. No evidence of a bee. So in my head, I'm looking at this paper and I'm looking at the dash and I'm like, am I losing it? I might be. But I told myself, Melinda, no, it went somewhere. Like, your vision is not as good as you think. It went somewhere. And I said, all right, well, this is weird. So I just sat there because I'm like, I don't hear the buzzing anymore. It is what it is. I'm playing on my phone, okay? Just playing on my phone. I hear buzzing again. This is about 5 minutes later. And I'm like, the fuck is that noise? I'm like, oh my God, he's still alive. He comes. It was almost like deja vu. If y'all ever had some deja vu, same way. Comes up, lands on the dash. I grab the paper again. I smash. I know this time. I fucking know I made contact. I know it. And I kept the paper there, and I'm like, I know, because I can hear the buzzing still, like he's dying. And I'm like, yes, this is it. This is it. I pull the paper up. There is nothing there. I look, I'm like, oh, what is going on? I remember that day thinking, what's going on? Am I living in is this a glitch in the Matrix? And that story I never told anybody until just now. And so when I see that, just now I'm reading top lines or whatever, you know, when you scroll over on your iPhone and it's like top news, I'm like, I'm pretty sure it is a simulation, but I'm here for it. I mean, what do we do? You know, if I can ride the wave.
Now this one isn't the craziest thing I've ever heard. I am surprised it didn't sting her if she didn't manage to kill it the first time, but I think maybe it just slipped away. That is probably the most likely scenario about this whole situation. Bugs are crazy. They slip away so quickly, you think you got them, and then all of a sudden they're gone. I had an ant that I stepped on with my slipper, and when I went to go get a paper towel to pick it up, I came back and it was gone. Like, I don't know where it went. So it's not unlikely that somehow the bee slipped away, or that she missed it. Maybe as she was like coming down on it, it slipped out the other side and she didn't actually get it. I think that is a very real possibility in this scenario. Either that or the bee was just not meant to die for some reason and kept respawning in different areas. I don't know. Our next TikTok is by the user Gives You the Chills. And we see a very interesting situation with a body of water.
All right, so it's moving. But wait, when we start moving, it looks like it's still, and then you can tell it's moving again. So crazy.
This is definitely not a glitch in the Matrix. I included this because there are obviously people out there who think that this is a glitch in the Matrix, so I think this could be a learning opportunity. The reason the water appears to stop when they start moving is because they're going approximately the same speed as the water is flowing, just in the opposite direction. So it gives the illusion of stopping because it's equal, if that makes sense. If they were to stop again, it would look like it's flowing again. That's what's going on here. And I don't know if the people who filmed this genuinely think it's a glitch in the Matrix, or if they filmed it as a joke and then people are like, oh my god, it's a glitch in the Matrix. But this is certainly not. I'm a believer in all that stuff, but this is not it. So, a little science lesson. I do enjoy some physics. Our next TikTok's please are Haunted TikToker, who shows us some Bluetooth strawberries.
Okay, so here's my sink. It is a touch sensor thing. And here's some strawberries. Nothing happens when I touch the box, but when I touch a strawberry, but nothing happens when I touch the box, just the strawberries.
Some people are saying that it's the vibration of her voice that's setting it off. I don't know how true or possible that is, but one thing I'm noticing is that at the top of the screen, she's not showing the entire faucet. So it is entirely possible that someone else is behind the camera or off to the side and is tapping the top of the faucet and turning it on from there. I think that's probably the most likely explanation. While Bluetooth magic faucet turning on strawberries are a very cool thing, I don't think that that's what's happening here. Our next TikTok is by the user Nails by Tristan. We've seen quite a few TikToks similar to this one, and I'm sure this will not be the last, but she seems to find a piece of a nail that is not missing. I really hate to be the fun police that I'm now trying to debunk a third one in a row, but the fact that her username is Nails by Tristan, it's really not that far-fetched that she could easily get a hold of an identical looking broken nail, and or it breaks and she immediately fixes it herself because she can. And then she posted this video because there's plenty of others like it and she wanted to go along. I think that might be it. But again, I hate to be the fun police. I just think there are ways that can explain this. However, I have seen videos where people are not nail techs and have this exact same thing. And I don't think it's impossible. I mean, considering I believe that there can be duplications of clothing items or children's toys, absolutely there can be a duplication of a broken nail, or a broken nail from another universe appears. Maybe that explains what happened to my press-on like 5-6 years ago. Because I woke up no nail and it was nowhere to be found. Wasn't in my sheets, wasn't behind my bed. My dog doesn't eat things. Never found it. Ever. So, I don't know, maybe there was me in another universe who's like, oh my god, I have an extra nail. But I don't think that happened in this one specifically. Our next two TikToks are by the user Amtrak91. I'm going to show them to you together. In these videos, she is documenting glitches in time.
So just for reference, this is my Alexa, and it's saying it's 6:40. My husband pointed out that our clock that hangs up above our TV, the time was wrong. So I was like, okay, I'll go and change the batteries. And when I walk into our kitchen, I notice the other clock we have that's on batteries is on the same exact time. And you can kind of see here that it's like ticking a little bit back and forth, but it's not going anywhere. And these are the only two like battery operated clocks that we have in our entire house. And before you ask, no, I did not change these batteries at the same time. We moved into this house in April, and this clock hanging up here is new. The other one came from our other house. So I'm going to ask Alexa so y'all can see the date.
Alexa, what is the date?
Today is Tuesday, January 14th.
And again, it showed the time being 6:40. And I'm even going to walk in here and show you guys my oven, which is saying the correct time. So why are these two battery operated clocks the same? I am generally confused right now. What? Here we are again. Okay, so now I really feel like I'm starting to lose my mind because I did the video with the clock and how my clocks both died on the same day at the same time, like a week ago, maybe a little over a week ago. And now I'm outside with my dog like I am every day. And it is really very bright out here still. Very bright. And I'm confused because it's 5:26 and the sun should be set by now. And just to prove I'm not being crazy, I'm going to screen record my weather app because again, it's 5:26 and it says that the sun should have set at 5:11, which if I remember correctly, usually the sun in the winter, especially in January, is like fully gone by like 5:15. So hang on, let me screen record this. So look, you can see 5:27 and it's saying the sun should be set at 5:11 p.m. So can someone explain to me what is going on with time? Like, I mean, I'm not being crazy, right? This is weird. The sun should be set. The sun should be completely gone by now. There's Ori. Hey, Ori. It should be down. Do y'all ever remember a January where the sun was still up this bright at 5:30, almost at 5:29? I'm just so confused. Forgot to show the date, so I'm just going to show y'all. It's 5:40 now, almost 5:40, but it's January 24th. I'll go back to what I showed you earlier just to, I'm not trying to trick you. This is really today. Yeah, so it's 5:40 now, and the sun should have been completely set at 5:11, so half an hour ago.
I don't know how to explain the first one other than maybe it was kind of like an airhead day. You're just not thinking properly and one clock is off and you set the other clock to match the clock that's off, and that's how it ended up happening. How likely that is, I'm not sure. but that is a possibility. I don't know. I feel like if I'm setting a clock, I think to look at something like my phone or my computer where it's connected to Wi-Fi and is always correct, rather than going off another clock that could run fast or slow or something like that. That's the only way I could explain this. Other than that, I have absolutely no idea how that could have happened. But in the second TikTok, I guess I'll have to put this to the test. But for some reason, I thought that the time it says on the weather app for sunset means the time that the sun starts to set, not the time that it's completely pitch black outside. Because I came to that conclusion based off of just one experience where I was desperate to tie-dye a shirt one night, but it was getting late, and it said sunset was like, for example, 7:10. And so I went out at like 7:05 to go tie-dye my shirt because I was desperate to do it that night. And I'm out there tie-dyeing, and I realized it was 7:10, and it was darker out, but there was still sunlight. It was just, not as bright as daylight. And because of that, I came to the conclusion that the time it says sunset is just when the sun starts going down. I could be completely wrong. Maybe I also experienced a weird time glitch, sunset glitch, but that's just what I inferred from that situation. And I've always thought that that's to be true since then, but I've never paid attention. So I guess I'll test that and now pay attention to sunset times versus when the sun actually sets, but that's just kind of what I assumed. So maybe instead of how I just assumed that that's what that meant, she assumed the opposite, and that's why she's concerned by it. Maybe it is a glitch, and I'm also being bamboozled by it, but that's just what I thought. But also, time is just a concept. It's just a state of mind. Our next TikTok is by the user Blingo Blongo, who shows us a liquid glitch in the Matrix.
Forbidden chocolate milk. What?
I really thought we were watching chocolate milk being poured down a sink for a second. I think this is another explained away by physics thing. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the way to explain this is the liquid is coming out at an equal rate to the liquid going down the drain. So it just appears the same, and it's like a solid stream, but I feel like if you stuck your finger through it, it would disrupt it and have ripples, like kind of how when it first started before it settled and created like a nice rhythm. So yeah, let me know if I'm wrong about that, but I think the liquid being poured at the same speed that the liquid is going down the drain, so no more and no less is going into the tray at that given moment. So it appears frozen in time. Science. Actually, science is sick, I will say. Our next 3 TikToks are with user Alex Newtown 10. I will also be playing all 3 of these in a row just to make it easier for viewing purposes. In these 3 TikToks, she tells us about a dream she had that coincided with real life and then explains it in more detail.
Okay, somebody please explain to me what is going on and then I'm not going crazy, okay? If you know me in real life, don't make fun of me for this. I have a daughter who turned 6 months 3 days ago, okay? She has an R name. First letter is an R. About 4 months ago, I had a very, very vivid dream that she didn't exist, and that instead of having her, my fiance and I decided that we were going to foster, and after months and months and months of not getting a call for a foster placement, we finally got a call, and it was for a baby girl, and her name was a very uncommon R name as well. And in the dream, she was like the same age as my daughter, same size, she looked exactly the same. And in this dream, she eventually had to go back to her parents, like reunification, whatever. And I remember asking the social worker in my dream, like, you know, why can't we keep her? This isn't fair. I've raised her. She's like a daughter to me. And then I also asked the social worker in my dream, I'm like, she would get along so well with my daughter. And the social worker looks me in the eye and goes, "Don't you talk about my daughter here. She does not exist." And then I woke up. So I'm like, okay, that's a little freaky, but whatever. This dream was so vivid that for the past 4 months since I've had it, I say probably once or twice a week to my fiance, I wonder how she's doing, this baby. And I'm not saying the name because it'll make sense in a second, okay? But it's another R name. So my daughter has an R name, and this dream baby has an R name as well. That's very uncommon, okay? So we go to the library today. That baby was there. She was there. Like I said to my fiance last night, I wonder how that baby is doing. And she was there. It gets weirder. She's with her grandparents. And Grandpa says, "Oh yeah, she just had her first birthday." I said, "Oh, that's really sweet." He goes, "Yeah, she had her first birthday 3 days ago." She is exactly 6 months older than my 6-month-old daughter. She is exactly double her age. When we were at the library, this little baby could not leave me alone. Like, she wanted nothing to do with her older sister who was there, nothing to do with Grandma and Grandpa. She was magnetic to me. Like, chills. So, if anybody has an explanation on what that was that, like, a sign? Was that 2 timelines folding together? Was it me getting my wishes answered on making sure that she was okay? Was it a glitch in the Matrix type thing? Like, somebody, anybody, please help. Because I'm so happy she's okay, but also, what?
So I'm realizing that in my just pure shock of what was going on, I didn't explain this too well. Yes, the real life baby had the same name as the dream baby, as well as she looked exactly like her, which also looks exactly like my daughter. So long brown hair, blue eyes, a nice round face, super cute. I'm not going to tell you guys that baby's name just because this is blowing up and I don't want to risk that mom seeing this and her being like, you know, why are you sharing information about my daughter? That would be weird, especially with how many coincidences. Like, if she is in foster care, like, that's not my place to share those details. I do also want to add, there's a few people who said that maybe it's just because we've gone to this library a lot and maybe we've run into her before and I haven't realized it, which is not a possibility because I've only ever gone to this library twice. The second time was yesterday. The time before that, there was a bunch of kids there, but I wasn't really paying attention to any of their names because I had 3 kids under the age of 3 with me, and I was just trying to make sure that they weren't destroying the library. I can tell you that one of the kids' names while we were there that time was the same name as my daughter's. There was a Rowan who was a boy, and then there was an Ezra and like an Elizabeth and stuff like that, but there wasn't this other R-name baby. So yeah, hopefully that answers some questions, and yeah. I need to touch base on this with you guys real quick because I love all of this so much, I do, but let's just think about this for longer than 30 seconds, okay? If I was at the library and the roles were reversed and Grandpa walked in and looked at me and looked at my daughter and was like, "Oh my gosh, this is gonna sound crazy, but I had a dream about you and I had a dream about your daughter, and I have this weird feeling that your daughter and my granddaughter have a soul connection, that they were together out in, you know, wherever the souls are before they're conceived, and I feel like they're like bound together." I would have looked at him and gone, "Cool, I'm never coming to this library again." Like, don't get me wrong. Things like this are so fascinating to me. I've always been drawn to them. A lot of you have been like, oh, you have a gift, whatever. That doesn't mean everybody else does, and that doesn't mean that everybody else has the same thoughts, feelings, and opinions as I do, or beliefs as I do, and that could go south very quickly. Very quickly. It would be even weirder if that baby was in fact in foster care, had I looked at the grandfather and been like, hey, I had this dream about your granddaughter here. I just have this gut feeling that I'm supposed to be fostering her. But I can't foster her because I'm not old enough, but I had this weird dream that she's supposed to be in my life. And if she really is in foster care, he'd probably go and yell at the caseworker and be like, why did this random girl at the library know that my granddaughter's in foster care? So, some things we need to keep to ourselves. This one, it's one of those things. So no, Grandpa does not know about anything. And if I ever run into them ever again, he still won't know about anything because I don't want to freak him out. That's just how it is. For example, if I came to your place of work, or if I ran into you in the grocery store, and I came up to you randomly and was like, hey, I know this piece of information about you, and I'm just gonna spew it out for anybody around us to hear, you would be like, what the hell is going on? Why are you talking to me? Why do you know that? And you would have like an existential crisis for just a sec there. And Grandpa didn't need that, okay? So, no, not doing it. Love you, love the idea, think about it. The answer's no.
I feel like in another lifetime, maybe she could have been the caretaker of this child. I think it is a really big coincidence that the child is identical to the one in the dream, same age, and has the same unique-ish name. I genuinely do think that it was her. I think it is completely possible that in another reality she is her foster mom and they just have such a soul connection that somehow she was able to tap into it in her dream state. I think it is such a weird coincidence otherwise. I mean, how do you think up some random child and a name like that? That is just the most random thing. Granted, I've had some pretty random dreams, but nothing that's even remotely possible in real life. When I have wacky dreams, they're wacky. Obviously, we'll never know, but maybe the little girl in her reality isn't in foster care, but in another reality is, and that's how they came to meet. And that's why she never met her in this lifetime, because she's not in foster care. Potentially. I honestly feel like that's what it is. But I don't blame her for not wanting to bring it up to the grandparents. Obviously, children are a very sensitive topic, as they should be. We need to protect children because they can't really protect themselves yet. So I'd probably be a little concerned if I were her grandparents. As much as I believe in all this stuff, and I believe her, and that she had this dream and that there's a soul connection, whatever, I think if I were in the situation of the grandparents, I would be like, oh my god, this person is crazy, and think that maybe they were trying to kidnap my granddaughter or something. So it's probably a good call that she didn't tell them and just kept it to herself. On one hand, I'm sure there are some people that would be like, oh my god, I love this, I'm so glad you told me. But since it's such a touchy topic, it's probably best to play it safe and not bring it up, not freak them out. So I think that's probably the right choice here. Our next TikTok is by the user Bob White Quail. In this video, we experience a glitch of many birds.
It's grub time! What the fool? Why are they all not moving? What? What is happening right now? Babies?
Now, in my opinion, this is weird. The first thing I thought to potentially explain this away, and I don't know how trainable quails are, but also how trainable they are in large quantities such as this. Maybe she could have trained the quails when she says grub time, they stop in their tracks. Obviously, we see the one at the end that's not participating. Granted, it's not walking, but it's pecking at the ground while the rest of them are frozen in place. Maybe that's the one troublemaker that isn't very well trained. Again, I don't know how well people can train quails, though, especially that many. So I feel like that's unlikely. But also, that's really weird. Like, what is going on here? I honestly think it's kind of eerie, almost. So they all just stop. They freeze. And as she's talking to them, they're still frozen and not reacting, besides that one that's doing its own thing. Our final TikTok of the video is by the user Brittany Lila Official, who seems to have an interesting connection with her husband.
I was told not to share this story because nobody would really care, but honestly, if you're into the glitch of the matrix or serendipity, I think you might want to hear this story because it's kind of weird. When my husband and I were first dating, I had my own apartment and he came over to visit. I had a little decor pillow, and when he picked it up, his face went pale. He looked at me and he's like, "Where did you get this pillow from?" And I'm like, "I don't know, a thrift store?" Like, weird. I don't know. I really did. I got this pillow from a thrift store probably like 2 years before I even met him. Now, my husband and I are 13 years apart. Keep that in mind. And he's holding the pillow in his hand and he's going, "I had this couch." No, you don't understand. I had this couch. This pillow is not like just a gray or a beige or a very generic couch. This pillow is extremely eclectic and very unique. Looking at him and I'm like, "What do you mean you had this couch? Like, what does that mean?" And he's standing there like, "My grandmother had this couch. I had this pillow." Him and his grandmother were extremely close. He's like, "You don't understand. Like, this is such a rare couch. Where did you get this pillow? I don't understand." Kind of went about our day, but we've been together for 10 years now, and he found the picture. This is the picture. That's my husband when he was a little boy and his grandmother, and here's this eclectic couch, right? So look at this couch and hold on. Look next to his grandmother's arm. I've never really told this story because a lot of people could debunk it and say, "Oh yeah, well, how I can take your word for it? Like, he could have still had the pillow." But it's the honest to God truth. A year or two before I met him, I picked this one random pillow up in a thrift shop, and then like a year later, I met him, and he was like, "This is crazy." He's not the one who told me not to tell this story because he loves this story, and he doesn't even know I'm sharing this story. What do you think? Is it a glitch in the matrix? Am I crazy? We literally lived in 2 separate states when we met as well. There's the couch. There's the pillow.
I don't think this is a glitch in the matrix per se. I will say, for all of the non-believers in anything, the logical explanation for this is that, there's multiple pillows made, and it's a coincidence that she happened to find the same one at a thrift store, or like similar pattern at a thrift store. That, yeah, there's more than one. However, I think that while it's not necessarily a glitch in the matrix, I think it, again, might be some kind of soul tie, or just some kind of sign from the universe, like showing them that maybe they're meant to be together. We'll never know for sure. Well, I mean, maybe if they really wanted to, they could try and do some DNA test on the pillow and see if the grandma's DNA is on it, see if it belonged to her at one point. But other than that, we'll never know if it is the exact same pillow from that couch in that photo that his grandma had, or if it is just one of the ones that are floating around there because it was probably not as mass-produced as things are these days, but mass-produced. So we'll never know if it's the exact same one or just the identical pattern. It could be the exact same one. Honestly, if she got rid of it or passed or something and it ended up in a thrift store, she could have stumbled upon it years later, which I think makes us even crazier. But I think the odds that she stumbled upon this pillow in general, this pattern, that obviously her husband remembers fondly and is shocked to see, I think that that's kind of like a sign that they were meant to be together. And I think it's no coincidence. So again, I don't think it is a glitch in the matrix per se, but I do think there is spiritual meaning behind it. And I think it was intended to happen. But that is all I have for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on all of the TikToks/glitches I shared in this video. If you have any explanations, I love to hear your feedback. I love to see the conversations that happen in the comment section. Honestly, that's my favorite part of posting a video, is reading everyone's theories and experiences. So let me know what you think. If you liked this video, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up. I will pop a couple video suggestions on the screen for you to watch next. Please click the subscribe button down below and turn on post notifications so you never miss a video. I post every Sunday and most Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4 p.m. Central Time. Please check out my Instagram and TikTok, where I post special effects makeup content, and I am currently doing an Inside Out character series. And other than that, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you next time. Bye.